Now with our panelists, to continue learning a little more about your companies and about what Ignition can do, I just want to hear from each of you about a recent project or initiative that you used Ignition for. Just take a couple of minutes, each give us a high-level overview of the problem, the solution, and the scope and time frame of your project. So Derrick, let's go ahead and start with you. Tell us about Ignition project at Flexware.
Yes, absolutely. I'd say one of the biggest public successes I've seen with Ignition was actually when I was working as a developer. I had the privilege to work with American Water's team to not only help build out their enterprise portal, but also build out their SCADA solution that's deployed across hundreds of sites. I think the real catalyst for all of this innovation was actually COVID, when American Water realized that they couldn't be as remote as they thought. So they made a center of excellence team. It was formed of internal stakeholders, but also included some partner integrators such as Flexware and Inflection Point, who's formerly ACC. From there, we went to work. Data is being pushed up from the edge using CirrusLink's MQTT modules, and it goes up into a portal in American Water's business layer where data is being formatted based on its location type. And that's just kind of the beginning. Now that we have data at the fingertips of stakeholders, now they can start having ideas on what can be done with that data. QA would sometimes need to email sites for a CSV export. So we built out a tool for them to access that data directly. VPs of operations wanted to ensure that they stayed in regulation of their well permits. So we made a tool for that, cross-referencing permits with data that we are already collecting. So American Water thought they produced 1 billion gallons or about 1 billion gallons of finished water per day nationally. And now all they have to do is look at the portal to not only see what that number is for today, but what the trend is. It's really just shown what the power of Ignition is to not only acquire the data, but to add some context and make it useful for folks that need it most.
Thanks, Derrick. Much appreciated.
Yep.
David Lamb, tell us about an Ignition project at Vertiv.
So at Vertiv, we manufacture thermal, cooling, and power stream asset equipment. So big and medium voltage, low voltage switch gears, air handling units, cooling, UPS, and thermal. And predominantly, we manufacture those to serve the data center industry. And when I came on board a couple of years ago, we had no literature or marketing literature. So we actually used Ignition in a lot of our facilities because we have global manufacturing facilities all across the world, made up through acquisitions of over the years. So there are several different types of brands and different types of layouts. There's no uniformity in our facilities and our offices. So we decided to use Ignition because it was that open, and we knew very well that it could connect to any of the various types of manufacturing equipment that we had across the world. We then used it as a demo tool. So once we started to get Ignition Edge in all of the factories, we put it up into perspective in the cloud for then not only from an operational point of view to see what's going on in the factory, your typical sustainability, energy awareness, and obviously managing any outages to ensure continuity of manufacturing, but also as a sales visibility tool, not only for our customers, but also for sales enablement tools for the wider Vertiv sales team that weren't traditionally familiar with our offer. And it was a great way to demonstrate to our customers that we actually walk the talk. So we are selling this product and this solution, but we're also using it for ourselves. So now we've got it all over the world, and we map it out on a nice map. It's part of the Discovery Gallery as well. And this year, but actually we've taken it a step further now because there's a significant amount of factory witness testing that needs to be conducted before any equipment goes to any site, irrespective of whether it's a data center or a hospital or a big commercial building. We've started to use the power of Ignition and Apple's Vision Pro to create augmented realities, allow engineers to actually do factory witness testing without actually coming to the factory. So it's just evolving over time, and it's a great tool for both Vertiv salespeople internally, operationally, and our customers.
That's great, David. Thank you so much. That's great. Great intro there. David McKenna, tell us about an Ignition project at Grandtech.
Yeah, so a new thing we've been doing is a lot more around code date inspection and expiration dates, which isn't new on its own, but there's some new machine learning based cameras out there that can open up some new opportunities. And we've been extending our software to be able to handle the variations in code date and country formats. And my favorite, and this has really allowed us to solve new problems with customers, but it hasn't taken a great effort to extend our product. And my favorite thing about Ignition that really allows us to do this is it brings databases to the plant floor, to plant floor control systems. There's so many times where control systems, because it was painful to access a database in the SCADA software, you just piled stuff in the PLC and stacked up arrays. And with Ignition, you're not doing that. You're doing it the right way.
Thanks so much. Much appreciated, David. And last but not least here, a Ignition project from you, Dan, at SugarCreek.
Okay, we started doing an MES solution corporate-wide about 8 years ago. We implemented it, and that gave us pretty good control of, or a grasp of how our process was running. What we were missing was the product attributes to associate with the process data. We recently launched SAP, and we are currently plugging the SAP inspections and production results, dovetailing them with our production analytics, and enable us to better understand where we're losing loss points. Yield is a huge issue in the food manufacturing industry. So we have a much better idea of where our yield losses are occurring and what's causing them. We've only been on this road for about 3 months, but the initial results are very promising.